Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things Giallo here on The King in Giallo. And let's do another unscripted talking head movie review. This time we are talking about the 1972 Spanish-Italian Giallo, The Two Faces of Fear, directed by Tulio Demicheli. And you can find me doing a brief overview of this in the most recent Forgotten Giallo Films, episode 23, I believe it is, 1972, part 2. This is one of the movies that was not in Troy Howard's book. I don't want to talk too much on this movie. It is available on YouTube, although there are some scenes missing. And I know of one scene that's definitely missing, and I have a theory of another scene. But if anybody knows for sure, go ahead and tell me. And if anyone knows where to find the full movie, let us know in the comments so we can find that and we can watch that. Let me just get right out and say this. So I watched this movie about 3 times maybe through the course of being at work, being at home, being back at work. And every time I gave it a subsequent viewing, I actually liked it more. The first time I watched it, I felt it was very slow, very boring, very dialogue driven, but in a bad way, as in the dialogue was just not engaging. I did think that the ending reveal, I was like, well, that was pretty good. And yeah, I did think the ending was pretty good, but beyond that, I thought, okay, it's very forgettable. I didn't hate it, didn't dislike it. I just thought, well, this one was harder to get into. And the more I've watched it, I found that I do like the acting. I like the writing in terms of the mystery, in terms of setting it up, feeding us the pieces, and then the way the movie will either uncover more through the course of the investigation, or it'll give us private scenes with 1 or 2 characters and kind of let us learn more about them and what their possible motivations could have been. That is all really good. And then the investigation, as I said, itself is very well written. The music is fine. It's not bad. If it was bad, it would stand out. If it was really good, it would also kind of stand out, because I feel like when a movie is working very, very well, you don't really notice the things. Sometimes you might say, oh, that's a really cool shot. Or like there's something in the music that might really kind of go, whoa, that was really cool. But generally, in movies, when everything is working, you don't really see the pieces until you kind of stop and take a step back and try and think about, well, like, what really worked? What was going on that made that scene or that moment or the whole movie really, really work? And in terms of the music, it's not bad. It just didn't stand out to me. But like I said, if it was bad, I would kind of notice, be like, God, that's obnoxious, or that's repetitive. But anyways, so I'll get through this. I'll try to be very, very quick. I will give you the rundown of the plot. Okay, so according to IMDb, The Two Faces of Fear, the plot is: a professor's wife falls in love with her husband's assistant. When she learns he's planning to move to another city, she does everything she can to avoid it, with no success. Soon afterwards, he's found dead in obscure circumstances. There's so much going on in the movie. It's so easy to miss something. We first see, I'll explain the plot as very quickly as I can. We first meet this man, Dr. Michele Azzini, who's played by, Wikipedia says it's either played by Luis Dávila or Antonio Del Real, who I don't know why we're getting 2 names. I'm pretty sure it was just one of those guys, but maybe there was other scenes that the other guy stood in for. I don't know. Maybe one of them was a fake Shemp. I don't know. Anyways, we meet Dr. Michele Azzini, and starting the movie, someone is creeping into his apartment. He's got a parrot, and this person is creeping around, and he comes in, and all of a sudden the person flees. And then we cut really hard to another doctor, Dr. Roberto Carli, played by George Hilton, and he's got a pistol, and he's just doing target practice, or he's just kind of testing the gun. So the movie kind of seems like it really wants us to think it's George Hilton. And then this next sequence of scenes for the next 10-12 minutes is where we get a lot of the characters' backstories or what's going on between them. So Dr. Michele Azzini he's received an offer from this clinic in Milan to go there because he's really, really good. But as he explains, it's like, Roberto Carli, George Hilton's character, he's like, he's as good as I am. It's just I happen to have worked on a couple people who were celebrities or something, and so now all of a sudden I have all this praise. But me leaving is not going to hurt the clinic. You've still got a great doctor on your hands. Well, as it goes on, again, this is all the first 10 minutes. He's leaving. Everybody seems upset about it. We meet the others who Dr. Carli, his wife is Elena Carli, who kind of runs the clinic. And that's Luciana Paluzzi. And what we learn about her is that she has a terrible heart condition. Well, luckily for her, she's in the best place because everybody is a heart surgeon or something. We see her a few times and she's like bedridden, she's collapsed or something, but she really does not want Dr. Azzini to leave. And as that description on Wikipedia says, she's kind of fallen for him, which is also not the worst thing because Dr. Carli her husband, George Hilton, has fallen for the other doctor, Dr. Paola Lombardi, played by Anita Strindberg. And they're always kind of flirting whenever they're off. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like it's the worst situation. But long story short is nobody wants him to leave. Everybody is a little upset, including this man, Luisi, who is it was kind of hard. He seemed like he was the big boss. I think he was just like the biggest. I don't know exactly what his position was. I just know that he had a large amount of stakes in the company, in the clinic. Anyways, we get to that pivotal scene in the first 10, 12, 15 minutes where Dr. Azzini is shot dead front of his parrot, funny enough. We find out then someone finds Dr. Carli, George Hilton, in his pocket is the letter that was written to Dr. Azzini about coming to Milan. And so it's like, what are you doing with this in your pocket? And he's like, what is it? This is the letter that Dr. Azzini received from Milan. Like, only I knew about this. I'm the only one he told. And he's just like, where'd you find it? Well, I found it in your pocket. And he's like, I don't know. Someone must have put it there. Okay, so again, either this is George Hilton or someone is setting him up. Then they call in Inspector Nardi, played by Fernando Rey, and he's got his assistant Félix, played by Manuel Zarzo. Through the course of this investigation, he's learning about the people, he's learning about their relationships to each other, and he finds so everything kind of seems like it's Dr. Carli, George Hilton. Everything is kind of pointing to him initially. And so for me, this is the movie doing this red herring thing where I have like a list of like, oh, the A, B, C, D of red herrings. And A is always the person that the movie is trying really hard to make you think it's them. And 9 times out of 10, it's not that person because why would it be? The movie was setting them up. And only in the rarest cases will the movie actually like do other things and then it'll be like, no, haha, it was that person. So he's our A category red herring. Everybody else is kind of B. They're there, they have motivation, but the movie's not going out of its way to make you think it's them. As it goes on, we start getting a little bit more, oh, maybe it is them. So what Inspector Nardi finds out he finds out that like Elena seemed to be into Dr. Azzini. He finds out that Luisi, the guy who's kind of running the place, he's into Dr. Lombardi, and I think he also picks up on that Dr. Carli is also into Dr. Lombardi. So there's a little bit of a love triangle there. And there's a whole thing also about if Elena Carli dies, she will give her shares to her husband, Dr. Carli. There's just all these little bit of hints where you're like, okay, hold on, slow down, let me write this all down. But so there's everybody's got motivation. And so there's really 4 possible people, unless they want to just bring in some random person who actually did it, which would be the dumbest thing ever. So it's George Hilton's character, Dr. Carli, who seems like he's got some good motivation. You got his wife, you got his wife, Elena Carli, who didn't want Dr. Azzini to leave. You've got Dr. Paola Lombardi, and you've got Luisi. And one of the things that Inspector Nardi figures out is that the murder happened at Dr. Azzini's apartment, which is a bit of a ways from the clinic, but it happened at a specific time. Okay, well, what were you doing at this time? What were you doing? And so he starts questioning Carli, well, what were you doing at this time? And he's told by Luisi, well, he was in between heart surgeries. He performed one at around 6:15-ish or something, and then he had about a 40-minute break between his next one, and then the next one started after 7. He goes, okay, well, what did he do after that? And well, I don't know. Usually he lays down and he rests because there's not really enough time to go do anything. And so Nardi figures out, okay, well, theoretically, there is a window of time between the 2 murders, and the murder did take place between them. And so he gets in his car and he's rushing. And by the way, there's a funny bit. They honestly could cut it, but Nardi is kind of he's a little bit of an asshole at times, and as he explains, it's because he's recently given up tobacco for like 5 months ago, and so just being around people smoking kind of triggers him, and he has a distrust of doctors because they're all smoking, but some of them will say that it's bad. It's weird. It's kind of a throwaway thing, but he mentions like, yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't like doctors, and y'all are smoking. There's a scene where he gets into his car with his assistant, who was just smoking in the car, and smoking like he was toking a joint. Yeah, no. But he tells him like to Dr. Azzini, he's like on the double now. And the guy's driving, but he's not going fast enough. He's like, come on, faster. Let's get there as fast as we can. And at one point they get stopped by a train, and he asks a passerby, does this train come by every day? Oh yes, every day, 6:30. It's a scheduled train. Okay, good to know. Train goes by. He goes to the Dr. Azzini's, and then they come back, and he's like, okay, so it's about 40 minutes. So it doesn't really seem possible to do that in like I think it was did I say 40 minutes? A 30-minute window, because they went over the window. So, because, you know, he had a Lee operation, would have to come here, shoot him, I think erase the answering machine, and then come back, perform a second surgery, and it's like, okay, so it doesn't seem likely. So as this goes on, he keeps pushing, he keeps pressing, and the four suspects, the four people, they're all starting to not like Nardi, because he's just prying and asking questions that seem irrelevant, asking personal questions. But we do get scenes with these people on their own, or, you know, with each other, and you do realize that, okay, so a lot of people are hiding something. There's a part where Luisi drives up to Dr. Lombardi's place, calls her out, she gets in his car, and this is all being watched by the police, by Nardi. And he's telling her, now that Dr. Michele Azzini is out of the picture, would you consider being with me? Because you know I love you. Now they're talking about their shares and talking about this, that, and like, I would give all my shares to you. Da, da, da. Again, it's kind of like, well, it could really be any of these people. And then we get some comedic bits where the assistant is trying to get answers out of the parrot. Maybe the parrot saw something, and this is the clip I put at the end of one of the videos where he's like, I tried everything. I even massaged his prostate. It's so funny because it's like you could so easily cut that, but it made me laugh so hard, so I'm glad they kept it in. But now Nardi starts focusing on Elena Carli. The reasons why she might have actually either performed the kill or ordered the kill. And she's out and about. She notices she's being stalked. She's being followed. And she freaks out. She's running. And she's trying to get away. And oh my God, lo and behold, she has like a heart attack, or she becomes faint, because they set that up. We find out that it wasn't some random guy. It was the police. They were tasked with tailing her. So, well, now she needs to undergo an operation. And she's a little scared to do that because she doesn't quite trust the motives of her husband, Dr. Carli, and I think Dr. Lombardi, I think more of Dr. Carli. But there's been little things, like I said, set up in the movie that seem that it might be him, even though the movie's been trying really hard. When Nardi went to interrogate him, he was asking about his gun, and they couldn't find his gun. Okay, either someone took it, or he's hiding it. He had those papers that Dr. Azzini had. He has a gun, we know. And then they were even looking at old footage of everybody shooting that gun. And he seemed the most confident with it, the most like he knew what he was doing. Anyway, there's a lot of... I feel like I'm missing little good bits, but it is a good movie. And so I'll spoil it. You can skip this, but it is on YouTube, like I said, The Two Faces of Fear. It's by Film and Clips. The only problem is you have to go sit through an ad every 4 minutes. Really frustrating. If I can find the longer version of the movie, the full version, I will put it up and not monetize it so we don't get ads, but we'll see. But anyway, so spoilers. So Elena is going in for operation. She's very fearful. Like, I don't trust him. She gets wheeled in. Nardi is watching everything happening from above, looking down, kind of like Short Night of Glass Dolls, where everybody is standing around on the top looking down. The movie, when it opens, warned that there was going to be actual footage of an open heart surgery type of deal. Well, we obviously skip it because it must happen here, because she does have the operation, but it's so funny the way it's shot. Like, Dr. Carli has like a mask on, so George Hilton, you're only seeing his eyes. And then the same with Dr. Lombardi, you're only seeing Anita Strindberg's eyes, and they'll be like looking at each other. you know, and it's so much communication with just eyes. He's got his gloves on. Oh, this was another thing. There was one of the clues they found was that the killer, when they came in, they shot Dr. Azzini, that there was talcum powder. And this is something I like about Nardi is, so he didn't immediately go, oh, aha, I know what this is. But he has that information, and then when we see talcum powder, he immediately observes it and notices it. Well, when they're getting prepped for surgery, they're getting talcum powder on their hands, and then they're putting gloves on. Okay. And so they go in, George Hilton, Dr. Carli, he's kind of just like, all right, let's begin. And then there's some like parts where they're looking at each other, and then he's just like, all right, maybe you should take it from here. I'm tired. And the way it's played out, you're like, you didn't even do anything. But then you see him step back and his gloves are all covered in blood. Okay. So we had that surgery scene. We just cut it here because nobody wants to see an actual open heart surgery. She gets stitched up or whatever. And then we're in this post-op with her. Dr. Nardi ends up finding an earring, one of Carli's earrings at Azzini's, implying that must have been her. And so he's prepared to arrest her when she comes out of post-op. And he tells her husband this. He's just like, "Where, like, can't you just wait? Like, she literally just had a heart surgery." And then moments later, somebody goes into the post-op room and Elena wakes up and she sees this person. We're getting a POV of them. We don't know who it is, but they turn the security camera. They kind of like stop her from flailing. I think they turn off her machines or they insert something into it or whatever, but they kill her. Put the camera back. Everything's on high alert. Oh my God, she must have died. And so now Nardi is like, well, she was murdered. And her husband, Dr. Carli, who doesn't seem surprised at all, not surprised, he just doesn't seem like he cares. He's like, well, no, I mean, that's, these heart surgeries are never like a sure thing. Like, you never know what can happen after the surgery. And okay, well, it seems like she was given an unhealthy dose of this medication. So I'm thinking it's Dr. Lombardi, because that was her task after the operation, was to give her this was it a sedative or some, it was her task to give her this, and she must have given her a lethal dose. So I'm going to actually go, and we actually have arrested her. And so now he's freaking out. What? And then they get a phone call, and it's for Nardi. And he's like, hello? What? You fool, you were supposed to watch her. Oh my God, she's dying. So now George Hilton, they're at the clinic. He like rushes to his car. Nardi follows him, gets in the car, and now they're rushing across town to get to, I think he was at Azzini's, because there was this, she was supposed to, oh, this is some important information. Dr. Michele Azzini was going to marry Dr. Paola Lombardi. And so there was a part earlier when Nardi had asked her, like, oh, and you went to his house at this point? And she's like, no, I was out shopping. And he's like, well, I mean, you were going to marry him, so it would make sense that you would stop by to kind of see him. Well, anyway, she's there. Apparently she was being arrested and they didn't watch her, and she did something and now she's dying. And so they're rushing across town to get there, and George Hilton is way more efficient than Nardi's assistant was. And he beats the train, gets there, runs in, and then it was a trap. Right when he gets in there, he sees Dr. Paola Lombardi, he sees the other inspectors just kind of standing there, and he walks in, he stops, and then Nardi comes in right behind him, and he gives him the time of how fast he drove, and he's like 8 minutes or whatever, and he's like, more than enough time to drive from the clinic here to shoot Dr. Michele Azzini, to erase the answering machine, and to race back and perform the next surgery. And that's basically it. He's like, within a matter of 30 seconds, he's just saying like, this is how you did it. And it's really well shot here, as it's just Dr. Carli and Dr. Lombardi just like looking at each other like, oh my God, I got caught. I fucked up. And they're not saying anything to each other. It's all expressed with their eyes as he's getting booked. And Nardi handcuffs him to himself, and then they leave and they walk him into the car, and that's it. But yeah, the investigation in terms of who could this be, the little bits of information, is for me the best part of this movie. And the reveal at the very end there, where it's like, oh no, it was him. Like, he literally pulled this off. So yes, that's my favorite part of this movie. Dr. Nardi, easily one of the best inspectors in the genre. If something happens and you need someone to solve it, he's a good one to have around. Another thing that I forgot to mention in the heat of it was, after the operation, we have a moment where Dr. Carli and Dr. Lombardi are like meeting in private, and they lean in forward, I think, to kiss, and then this music starts, and then it hard cuts. And the way it cuts, I'm like, okay, that could be how that scene did play out, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like that's actually what happened. So I think we may have had a little bit of a love scene there that was also cut because reasons. I don't know. But yeah, so if that's about everything, I kind of spoke a little bit more than I intended to. Check it out. It is a really, really good, I mean, I don't want to say it's a really, really good movie. Like I said, it is a little slow. It's one of those movies that more rewards the viewer for actually paying attention and watching. But to be fair, it is not doing a whole lot to draw you and to keep you engaged. It's not, like I said, it's not a bad movie. The more I watch it, the more I actually enjoy it. I would love for this movie to get a really good restoration because it's pretty good, and it's overlooked. It is quite forgotten. In terms of the movie, it's like the directing is fine. The directing, the way it's shot, it's serviceable. There's things that are done where you're like, okay, good. This guy seems to know what he's doing. It's just a little uninspired. There's not a lot in terms of how it's shot, how it's directed that is, ooh, that's really good. But that's fine. The writing, some of the dialogue is a little silly or a little kind of forced. The way the actors are doing their best with it. They're giving it some life. The actors they're certainly not pulling back on their performances, like just phoning it in. They're doing a great job. The writing in terms of the mystery is probably the best part, and then how in the final act of the movie, how it actually reveals everything was really, really good. Like I said, the music is fine. The editing, all that, it's all fine. So yes, thank you for watching this far. If you've seen this movie, let me know what your thoughts are. Like I said, it is on YouTube. You can find it. You come back, let me know. Have you seen this movie? What are your thoughts on the Two Faces of Fear? Any questions, comments, curiosities, or concerns, go ahead and leave those down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And otherwise, this is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
You dumb bastard! Your mother, your father, and all the rest!